Good morning. So I was recently streaming and we were talking about the Nilo waves and that I'm convinced it's impossible to do a Nilo waves guide. But then someone suggested to do VOD reviews instead of a guide, and I thought this was a fantastic idea. This is the only reasonable way for me to start covering Nilo waves on this channel, so I hope you guys enjoy it. You may be thinking, ugh, another series, and yes, we'll have 3 series running simultaneously, but it is what it is. Road to Rec videos have my highest priority, but they require lots of footage and time to make, so I'll be using this as a filler to stay actively uploading. In this episode, I'll VOD review 2 of my own VODs, but in the future I hope to be able to review your VODs as well. I've made my team's Discord public, and you can find the link in the description. Among other things, you'll find our setups and some resources, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because here you'll be able to upload your Nilo VODs and I might pick them for an episode. Feel free to post any VODs, but please don't be offended if your VOD doesn't get covered. The main skills that I intend to cover are 4s and 5s, and you can send any role as I'll be able to talk to my team when I'm not sure about a certain wave on a certain role that I don't often do. This episode will be about my own 5s West Mage performance. Alright, so first off, I don't think I'll have much to talk about during the early waves. Early waves in 5 should be extremely clean, and when you and your team keep up with their pre-fires, there really shouldn't be a way to fall behind, other than atrocious RNG, which realistically only happens about 1 every 50 Nilos or so. I guess something interesting to point out is that while pre-firing lanes, there definitely is some priority, namely, bigs come first. We sometimes have 3 or even 4 people pre-fire the same big, and we do this to make sure that we stay caught up with the 2 smalls that spawn from those bigs. You'll see that we keep a balance between doubling up and cleaning the room, because especially when the room gets a bit more filled, the doubling stops and we have to deal with our role's priority. It's pretty uncommon for the West Mage to claw that big melee, but I'm the BGSer and have Lightbearer, which allows me to regen to full before the boss, while my teammates Goldbook and have Chelly and ZCB. In the meantime, you can watch me fill ticks before certain waves spawn, while trying to stay on tick for almost every pre-fire, particularly for my bigs. I'd rather lose ticks than be off tick for big pre-fires. I'd really like to pre-fire that big ranger, but the wave 17 big mage needs to die first. When I can't T-bow pre-fire the ranger, I have to let it be until it gets near the pillar, because otherwise its babies spawn right before the wave 20 cap increase, which could potentially cause stalling if the rest of the team noodles. This is not a risk you should ever take, so I don't. Now we've made it past cap increase, so there is less than 0 chance we stall during the next 8 waves or so. This means we get to ultra prioritize bigs again. The reasoning is yet again to cause them to split as early as possible, which in turn allows us to deal with those splits more freely. Additionally, there is a little secret that not a lot of people know about, but until wave 25, every single Nilo in the room will die of old age, meaning that all those Nilos will despawn before or on the exact tick to get wrecked Nilo waves. Tying this into killing bigs early, all the splits that spawn before wave 25 are just absolutely irrelevant, allowing us to hit new Nilos instead. The only reason we would be hitting them is to hopefully avoid late wave stalls, but if there is something else to hit, we'd always want to choose that instead. At this point we're at the cleanup, and as West Mage I clean up my West Pillar blues, then Northwest greens, and then it should be almost done. That's when I have to make a judgment call on which side needs the most help, and I don't think I have any mistakes to point out, so we get rewarded with the 248 boss spawn. This is tight wreck Nilo waves, which isn't as impressive as it sounds. The first record of this wave's time is from December 2020. Since then, many teams have tied it, and though it's still a good time, in a sub 13 level team, you should get these every now and again. Next up is another good waves VOD, and you'll find that our pre-cap looks almost identical to the first one. This is quite common because we're just overkilling and destroying everything, because there aren't that many crabs spawning yet. The minor differences each pre-cap come from which splits spawn out of the bigs. However, the timing for our pre-fires remains the same, so our timing to hit smalls does as well. This results in slight differences between pre-fires, but the concept of pre-fires first, then room smalls is how both the East and West Mage play. This same concept exists in Force, but you have to be slightly more careful that you don't fall behind too much because after all, you are the only mage. Right here I could point out a slight inaccuracy. I do one blowpipe too many, which puts me one tick behind on the big mage pre-fire. This is such a minor mistake that I don't think I can even call it a mistake, because on this particular wave it doesn't yet matter. However, this shouldn't be your mindset, and being tick perfect is not always perfect. I get back on cycle and everything is good again, but then I misclick my darts and sang the big ranger. Again, it's not a big deal as our ranger is already working on killing it, and it even dies to my venge, which is being closely monitored by my teammates, but these are mistakes that could cause problems if multiple people make them at the same time. I'm actually going to rewind that part because there's something else I want to mention. The reason I'm even going for that ranger in the first place is because I'm done with my own role. This is a common occurrence in 4s and 5s, and at times like this, you should help out a different role. Recognizing what your options are and your decision on what to prioritize comes with experience, but in general, you should try to help out with any bigs that you can get your hands on. My point is, the decision to go for that ranger was good, but the execution was lacking a little. Unlike last time, during this precap we insta-kill all the wave 17 big mages, giving everyone the space to T-bow the wave 18 big rangers. This is just a power play, and only helps us to have something to do when they're split spawn. But as long as we make it to the cap increase on wave 20 and we finish off all the bigs at that point, the room will basically reset itself due to the wave 25 despawn thing I was talking about earlier. Additionally, we usually manage to get the room completely empty right around here, but this is only possible when you kill those bigs early rather than late. So as I was saying, right after cap increase, the mage's focus is primarily on bigs, but you can of course fill time when you have nothing to hit as long as you manage to stay on tick. I greedily barrage here, causing me to be one tick behind the cycle. Now I personally think this barrage had value because we're getting to the part where there are lots of big spawning, which overlaps with the late wave stalls that we ideally want to prevent. That barrage will help remove 2 smalls out of the equation, rather than just 1 small if I had sanked and stayed on tick. Obviously the barrage wasn't as useful because someone sanked one of the smalls, but that's something out of my control. This is a really good example of why we want to kill these bigs as soon as possible. There are currently no mages for me to hit, and I try to fill my time until the split spawn, but because some bigs died a bit late, the timing is weird and it throws me off and I start misclicking. From here on there are multiple mistakes in a row, which causes me to lose a lot of ticks. Combining that with slightly unlucky splits and a few inaccuracies by my teammates, this results in the loss of another 248 boss spawn. Considering how bad my streak of mistakes was, I'm honestly surprised my team managed to carry me to a 250. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to show some good waves and how tiny misplays can sometimes be covered by your team, but sometimes cause problems that simply delay the boss spawn. Obviously this was pretty high level Nilo, which doesn't have to be the standard for future episodes. I'd be interested to do all types of vaults as long as it's not just random 416 raids, but even in those I could probably point out what you could do to improve the waves time and increase your GP per hour. Unless specified, I won't flame your teammates as long as their plays don't directly grieve you in some kind of way. Similar as I didn't talk about any mistakes my teammates made during either of my own vaults. Let me know if you would like me to continue this series, feel free to post your vaults, and also let me know if you want me to cover more of my own vaults. That's it for today's video, so as always, thanks for watching.